Verily, you are, other than a wonderful human being, a psychotherapist, and you train in the traditional system. But at some point, if like you kind of hit a wall with it, just that I'm not talking just professionally, but like personally. Wondering what was that wall, if you care to share.
Um, I I don't really think I hit a wall with it per se. I mean, maybe that's not true. I have always seen the the hiatuses of psychotherapy. When I started training, I was in my early 30s, and I just left behind a career as an artist, which was mainly geared towards conceptual thinking and being innovative and breaking every rule that you could find, like as a default. And then I went into psychology. At the same time, I trained as a shamanic healer, and almost at the same time I started family constellations. And so those have always run parallel, and they were sort of feeding into each other. And so you see the pros and the cons of either and how they complement each other. So in that sense, the role in psychology and psychotherapy is that the conscious mind is actually very limited, because we only know what we know, and we know the conscious mind is 5% of what's going on in our lives, and all the rest is subconscious. I mean, think about driving a car, right? You don't think about it anymore. You just do it. Whereas in the beginning, you know, what do I do next, right? Oh God, I have to turn left here. Then it becomes subconscious. Otherwise, we can't survive, right? So a lot of people, and I was trained in CBT. This is also the paradigm that a lot of people have is, what gets you into trouble is your thoughts. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I can't cope. Nobody loves me. I'll be rejected. That kind of stuff. And so they work on that, and that's very helpful and good. And the wall that you're referring to is, where do these thoughts come from, right? And because if you can uproot the cause, then the thoughts will go automatically. They will evaporate. And so you don't need to do the hard work, like, oh no, it's not true, actually I'm really good because I have all these positive qualities. It's hard, it's toiling. And so I'm always looking at, how can you make things so effortless, as effortless as you can. Um, and usually, it's by closing the tap instead of keeping mopping.
Hmm. I
So
see
that would
what
be
you
my
mean.
role, I think. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because there's a lot of techniques that are there to address those negative voices and
Yeah.
look at challenging them, just opening the conversation and going back and forth, whilst understanding the sources and the origins and tracking back where it's coming from. Does, like, it's not one or the other, it's kind of like having that 360 work being done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we think about a 360, like, your own personal journey got you to think about so many different things because you face the need that traditional standards of addressing just one symptom didn't work. How has it been for you that you got to think of all these different disciplines?
Yeah. I was about 21, and my life had come to a grinding halt. I was in my first training. I trained as an interior designer, and the course was ruthless. Like they'd say, look left, look right to the people sitting next to you, and say, at the end of this course, these people are not sitting here anymore. That's how like cutthroat it was. And I dropped out, and I had such a massive burnout. And then a friend of mine suggested I have allergies. And she'd just come from an allergy center. And I was like, okay. And I jumped on a train, went to the allergy center, and they looked up my nose and I could stay instantly. And so I spent 3 weeks in an allergy center. Turns out I'm allergic to soy. And I was a vegetarian at the time. And so, because soy has estrogenic properties and it messed with my hormones. So I gave up soy, and all of a sudden I became emotionally stable. And now, sometimes by accident, there is soy in the food, I turn into borderline personality disorder. So, all the therapy in the world, all the techniques and all the thoughts, like, they actually could go, I don't know, whatever you challenge, it's not going to help you with that, because you have a compound, a chemical in your body that just upsets everything. And so that's how my journey began into this holistic way of thinking. And, obviously, our head is a part of our body. People don't realize that, what goes on in the gut, it has a direct link to what goes on in the mind. And literally, when I came out of the allergy center, my life was like before and after Christ. Like everything changed. So that's how it started. And yeah.
That's incredible. We understand how hormones have a massive impact on
Yeah.
women's life,
Yeah.
and nutrition and gut health does impact that. And we see from our own experience how we behave completely differently when there
Yeah.
is something affecting that hormonal balance. So, nutrition has been a big thing.
Yeah.
Has it solved everything when it comes to mental health challenges for you?
No. No. I recently discovered this model when I started manifesting myself in the mental health field as a private practitioner. I didn't know where I was standing. Then how do I relate to psychiatrists, psychologists, clinical psychologists, counselors, coaches, energy healers? There's this whole array of people who have all the most beautiful and appealing names, and where am I? And so I started studying this, and then I stumbled upon this model, and it comes from the Vedic tradition. It's called the 5 levels of healing, and I can't pronounce the Hindi name. I'm sorry. I have to look it up, and then it still sounds stupid. But it's the 5 levels of healing, and it's ancient, but it made so much sense to me. So the first level is the body level. Broken leg, go to the doctor. Allergies, go to the doctor. Those kinds of things. Diet, exercise, sleep, detox, those kinds of things. So if your body has a healthy mind and a healthy body, level 1. Level 2 is the energy level. So that's where, if it's also like the first layer, energy layer around your body, that's where we have acupuncture, Reiki, sound healing, certain sort of basic levels of meditation, if that has a direct impact on the body. Level 3 is the mental levels, is when we talk, because when we talk, our brains resonate with the brain of the other person. And so if we're calm, the other person comes down. If we're angry, the other person picks up on our resonance. They more easily become angry. So that's where we find psychotherapy and psychology and challenging beliefs, that kind of thing. And then the 4th level is the level of the subconscious, the soul level. It's the intuitive level. That's where the shamanic healing is, where the bioresonance is, where family constellations are, and certain sort of deeper levels of meditation. So there are different flavors of meditation, which I also found very, very interesting to find out. And then there's the fifth level, and that's the spiritual level, which is where we find chanting, even deeper levels of meditation, and self healing. And so, if you want to heal something, you want to attack them on all levels. So, yes, you can heal the body and you can do psychotherapy, but then the other levels haven't had any attention. And so you'll feel better, but there's more to be gained. And that's and then all of a sudden I realized, okay, so I'm in the fourth level, the third and the fourth, because I do psychotherapy and I do shamanic healing and family constellations. And then I knew what I could do, and it makes so much sense. And obviously, yes, your diet needs to be good, because if you're not eating the proteins, you can't make the neurotransmitters, you will be depressed or anxious, and you also need the other levels, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. And I'll definitely add the resources in the description of the video
Great.
so
Yeah.
everyone you can like find at the bottom of the description more information about this if you're curious. A clear example, maybe from your personal experience, if you care to share, unless you want to share a specific case that you've seen, because when we
Yeah.
are deep into um, dealing with anxiety or depression or different disorders, it's like quite difficult to
Yeah.
understand and know all this. It's a trial and error. Um, how can this journey look like?
My strongest example, and I mean, this is a once in a lifetime. Like, I don't think you get many clients like this. Is a lady who grew up in Zambia, and she came to me for PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, from giving birth to her son and feeling abandoned by the doctors, feeling like she was bleeding to death. And when we looked into it, actually, she presented with 6 disorders. She had agoraphobia, panic disorder, general anxiety disorder, um, depression, eating disorder, and irritable bowel syndrome. So both physical and mental stuff. Um, and so when we looked into that, we did a family constellation. And it turned out she, as a 7-year-old, had been in an armed robbery. Robbers had come to her house, had held her at gunpoint. So her parents had stood there and could do nothing because she would be killed. And then the police came and they tried to rescue them, and the police were killed. And she said she saw the blood of the police coming underneath the door. And so this made total sense. How she said, nobody's here to save me. I'm unsafe. Outside is unsafe. People are coming to help me are going to die. Um, and there was no emotion regulation, anything, because her parents were powerless, right? So we did this constellation, and we thanked the police officers for giving their life. We realized, we acknowledged that the parents were powerless, and actually what they did was in her best interest to keep her alive. And so it was a long and big constellation, and it was all subconscious. Obviously, that was sort of brought to the surface. And she's never had IBS ever again. Her panic went. She didn't have to stay close to a toilet. And so she had to, obviously, within the psychotherapy. So that was the first, that was the third level. That was the fourth level that we were working at, on the subconscious. On the third level, we built in skills training, how to go on a train instead of in a car when she was scared, having to be close to Lou. So literally to habituate her brain that it's actually okay. She'll be fine. She's not going to shit her pants if she's not close to a toilet. Some emotion regulation techniques, because now she knows that they are actually helping. And on a physical level, obviously the IBS, the undercurrent of the IBS was cleared, and so she did make a few changes to her diet, which helped. And that was it. So we kind of tackled it. We didn't do anything on the energetic level and not on the fifth level, but so we sort of involved the 3 of the 5 levels. And I mean, that for me, that was really, really powerful, that with one intervention you cure 6 disorders, which normally would take 12 sessions each, and the IBS is gone, which normally is like a life sentence. So that's why I like this model so very much. So interestingly, we spoke briefly about the actual thing that she came to see me for, the PTSD about giving birth. And then, because she was now resourced, because she'd reconnected to her parents' strength again, it was just temporarily that they couldn't do anything. She realized, okay, they are here and I can actually have this energetically in me. She didn't need a lot anymore around the PTSD. She realized, okay, I wasn't dying, I didn't bleed out, the doctors did help me, I have a healthy son now.
How do you use it for yourself, in the sense of when you see a certain signal, and then
Yeah,
how that signal gives you a little hint that, oh, maybe there is something I can work on, um, with
yeah.
family constellation that can be revealed?
So I work with the notion of projection. So I don't know if you know what that means. If I find myself commenting on somebody's behavior, I realize, okay, that is something that's in me that I don't want to see.
Mhm.
Right? So I know, ooh, okay, there's something that I need to work on. So then what I do, either I do a systemic meditation for myself, so to see if, where it comes from and if I can release it. And generally that works okay because I've done it so often. Sometimes it doesn't, because um, sometimes when we always work with representatives, when we're in a group, they can bring up things that you're overlooking that are in your blind spot. So I like working with representatives. Sometimes for practical reasons I don't do it. So I have Intervision every month, and we have this amazing group of women, and we bring up issues, and we work on our own stuff, which is fantastic, and it goes deeper and deeper. And so that's why we explore things and where we release things. And so, for instance, I have a son who was adopted from the Caribbean. And as a psychologist, I know adoption is different from biological children. It's more difficult because the child has a trauma now, no matter how young you had him. And I only had the courage to adopt because I knew family constellations and shamanic healing, because I know we could get to depths that you don't get to with talking therapy. And so I have been doing family constellations for him. As a mother, I could do this for him. And the changes have been dramatic, like dramatic. And people have asked me, like, what's happened to him? What's and I was like, I don't know. And obviously I knew. And it's been fantastic. So yes, I use it every day because it's so powerful. I use it for my own business. I have a few people, a team helping me, and so we base the way we work together on the systemic principles, so as to keep the flow going. And meanwhile, I'm also training them, and it everything is in flow. And whenever there's no flow, you just look at it systemically, and then it goes again. Is my most powerful tool. I really, really love it.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
for everyone who might be, um, passing by Bangkok, you are running these sessions quite regularly in the city with your team as well. Do
Yes.
you what different modalities do you offer around? You have the group sessions, family constellation. You also have courses.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm aiming for at least one workshop a month for everybody. Like, if you've never seen it, or if you're like a pro in it, everybody welcome to come in, and there's no distinction. Then I do constellations for organizations. If you have things that are not running smoothly, we can see, what's blocking, what needs uprooting, what's overlooked, what's missing. I do one-on-one private constellations, with or without translator. I do shamanic healings, and I do psychotherapy. So you get the whole package. I'm training people to become family constellations
Yeah.
facilitators. And I've also recently become a supervisor in this field.
So the links are below. Don't hesitate. Get in touch with Verele or her team. If there is any questions, leave them in the comments. We make sure to circle back to them and address any questions, concerns, curiosity. That's where these conversations are for. If you feel like you can relate to any part of Verele's stories or her experience, please do not hold back. Just inquire, and we should get back to you as soon as possible. That's been like quite useful to see that sometimes it is not just one size fits all, and that there are like quite different modalities that we can explore.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And they all address different levels of whatever we're struggling with, and we need them all.